We, the jury, find the defendant, Letitia Stout, guilty of count number 1.
It was such a horrible case, the murder of Letitia Stout. It was an insanity defense case, but I've got something else you need to know tonight about what's happening here. There is a true crime YouTuber, you may or may not know her, goes by the name of ZAV GIRL. There she is, very successful true crime YouTuber, but apparently filed a Freedom of Information Act request to get the photos from little Gannon's autopsy and then made a video about them and put them on her Patreon account, so people had to pay, I don't know, maybe $3 or something to view that particular video with the autopsy pictures.
All right, let me see if this will work here, because my mouse is acting up. I need to reinstall my drivers. So we barely mentioned this case in my last live stream, and you guys know I've been really busy the last few weeks, so I haven't got that many streams out. Though this is probably one of the most evil and most direct cases of what we call TRAJPMPn, to dodge the YouTube algorithm a little bit. It's one of the worst cases that we've seen, and it honestly is the end point of TRAJPMPn, because a lot of people still, even to now, are defending this person. Well, I don't want to say a lot of people. Some people are defending this person in some ways. Others have completely condemned this person. I don't know anything about their normal YouTube career. I've done a little bit of just peeking in, and I do think it looks like, you know, as you'd say, the replacement for Molly Golightly from an outside look. But the main thing is they're very much not, it's weird because when you look at how the news or magazines or some type of other, you know, true crime or some type of people that cover these cases, if you look at how they do it, you'll notice they're very respectful to the information. They don't pry into the families. I don't even know why people are interested in prying into the families and the gossip and stuff that goes around these families when they go through this. It's extremely disrespectful and gross that that's what they're focused on in these kind of cases. But it is a form, at least it's devolved into reality television centered around true crime cases, and it backfired massively for this person. So when I went around and started to talk to people about this, most of the responses I saw came back with either that small group of people that will defend her at least, and they'll say, well, she's not a really bad YouTuber, she doesn't do really bad things all the time, but she slipped up and did this. And then you've got the other side, which is, no, she's just a flat-out TRAJPMP, and she's constantly doing things that are in line with tragedy pimping, and it's led to her monetizing autopsy photos. And the worst part about this, and I'll just try to get it out of the way now, I don't know if we'll hear this in any of these news broadcasts because I've only skimmed the ones I'm going to show you. But yes, the autopsy photos were exactly how you'd think they would be. It was a nude child that autopsy photos. It's one of the most grossest things. We'll get more details from the news as we listen because it's actually picked up. It's kind of like bouncing around. It's like weird because we've all been reporting on this stuff for a while, and other people on YouTube have been tracking this kind of stuff for years. What we mean is like true crime or people that focus on tragedies going in and trying to turn it into a circus or trying to disrespect the people that are involved so they can make some money and get some clicks. And this is what I would say, what I would expect to be one of the worst cases. But let's just take a quick look at what this is so that we can bounce in and out of this.
People outraged by this. Absolutely outraged. She did post a...
Wonder says, I lost all respect for Zach. See, you know what I don't like about this new thing? Look at this. This new little, I've complained about this a couple times, but let me complain again. It cuts off right here, this little thing, it cuts people off. I don't know, can I move it? I can't move it. My mouse is messed up. And I just threw a big emoji up on the screen. Actually, I like that. I'm going to keep that there. I like that emoji. I think I'm going to use that thing. But anyway, yeah, I lost respect. So you did watch her. How much lower can you go? Says Sunshine. Banther. Banther, is that you? Good to see you, Banther. It's early here in Australia. Yeah, I jumped in a little early. You know, I've been going to bed early. It's the heat. The heat, I'd like to stream in the evening more. The heat has been knocking it out of me, man. Especially now that I have a puppy, and the puppy, of course, wakes me up all the time wanting me to go outside, and I go with the pup, and yeah, it does kind of drain you a little bit. Anyway, let's take a listen to this while I try to fix my mouse because it's cutting in and out on me, and it's really ticking me off, and we'll get more of these details from this news report, but we've got even more news reports of a YouTuber TRAJPMPn. It's becoming news when these YouTubers tragedy pimp. Now, quick information or update here for the replay. She did lose her Patreon along, and this is what I've heard up to now, so I'll correct myself later if this isn't true, but I heard even other people followed in her footsteps, grabbed those autopsy pictures and put them on Patreon and monetized them, so that if you wanted to see them, you'd need to pay through the paywall of Patreon. It reminds me of Molly Golightly. She used her Patreon to lock a lot of those kind of crazy things that she was doing behind it to hope that people wouldn't be able to witness and log and discuss the TRAJPMPn. It didn't work. And it didn't work for ZAV GIRL, but it backfired in her face. It really does surprise me because we've seen other examples of Patreon being used in really bad ways, and it's one of the first times that Patreon has stepped in and done something, but I think that they got contacted by Twitter. Honestly, Twitter, like when you use Twitter to contact Team YouTube, what I saw was somebody used Twitter to contact Patreon support, and they actually responded, which is strange, but let's just hear this.
Statement on her YouTube account.
Hey, and good to see you, peeps. I haven't been streaming a lot lately, so you're going to have to hit the like button for me if you want the peeps to get in here. So,
which says, and I think it's been deleted since, I want to address what's going on right now with the Gannon autopsy coroner video I created. Unfortunately, this seems to be something where people are very divided on how they feel about it, and I'm hearing...
We're going to read her... We're going to watch an apology from ZAV GIRL. We're going to read an apology, I think, here in a minute. In fact, I can read some of it now. She says, hey guys, I want to address what's going on right now with the Gannon autopsy coroner video I created. Unfortunately, it seems to be something where people are divided on how they feel, and I'm hearing a lot from both sides. The reality of the situation is that different people feel differently about this. What do you mean different people feel? You monetized a video that you knew you couldn't upload publicly because people would have reported it and gotten it taken down, and this is why you didn't put it on YouTube. But you knew the people that would pay your Patreon to see it would, number one, not affect you getting banned on YouTube, and that's why I believe she's still on YouTube. If she would have uploaded this to YouTube, I believe she would have been banned from YouTube very quickly. On top of that, the news is stating that you got this from a Freedom of Information Act request, and this is the thing. Where do you draw the line in doxing? I draw the line, as you know, controversially. I know it's so controversial that I have this opinion. I draw the line when you pry into someone's personal or private life and you take that information and you use it on YouTube, you share it with people, or you try to harass them with the information you've gathered. You're doxing, in my opinion, as you all know, when you start digging on them. That's when you're doxing, right? Now, if you're going in to do a report where you've got to look at some of their information, or an investigation. Let's say you've got somebody asking for who's received a bunch of money, and you want to run a background check to see if, you know, there's any information that can lead you into believing whether they are responsible with money or not, or they have instances of doing things like stealing money in the past. You keep that information to yourself, you're not doxing. If you're using the information responsibly, you're not doxing. But as you know, and a lot of people disagree with me on this, and they always have, I think that when you start, and you know why I think most people disagree with me on this point? I think it's because they are defending themselves. I think there's a lot of people on the internet, and they go around digging on people. They go around trying to pry into people's private... Did I just lose my mouse? There goes my mouse. It's either my mouse is messed up or my drivers are out. We'll have to figure it out. Just started happening. I think it was happening a week ago, but it went away. Now it's back. But you get my opinion there. Anyway, let's get back to what she's saying here. Let me read a little more of this. Some people genuinely think making a video including the photos is bad, and I respect their opinion and feelings. It's not an opinion or feelings. The kid was nude. The kid was gone, and you put it on Patreon and made people pay you to watch it. You didn't do it for some educational reason, which even then you should have blurred it. Why didn't you blur it? It's like you could have just blurred. Well, number one, you didn't need it anyway. Now, the problem is, of course, this leads you into thinking or understanding that this person said to themselves, I need content around this case. I have an ability to file a FOIA and maybe dig some stuff up that others won't have, so that I have a scoop, so that I have a, you know, exclusive, an exclusive that only you have. You get me? Like a news exclusive. And the only reason that you're going that route, instead of just going live and talking about it, instead of just going live and, you know, doing a video or doing some content around it, you are trying to get that exclusivity. You're trying to monetize it. You're trying to get people to click it. And due to the extremeness of this, personally, I also think that was, I hope that we hear her, you know, discuss how she's gone too far trying to monetize these people's tragedies, because there is an acceptable amount of you know, doing a documentary, doing some type of news broadcast, giving your opinion on things. These are all acceptable, and they're not, and nobody would accuse somebody of monetizing them for talking about an extreme story. But when you do these things, these extra things, these things that pry, these things that it disgustingly, how do you say, disrespects the victim, right? Other people like myself think of autopsy photos and the coroner discussing and explaining them as interesting and informative, and able to view it all in a more scientific, detached way. Bullshit. You did not put this up so that other people could view it in a scientific, detached way. You should have been real in your apology, because when we'll get, you know what, I'll shut up, because we're going to hear her actually apologize in just a bit.
A lot from both sides. Some people genuinely think making a video including the autopsy.
Somebody, is the name Nasty Cooper? Is that their name? Nasty Cooper. I like that name, but if they did that,
Autopsy photos is bad, and I respect their opinions. Other people like myself think of autopsy photos and the coroner discussing, explaining them as interesting and informative, and are able to view it in a more scientific, detached way.
No, you're just cold, you're heartless, you're disrespectful, and you're not viewing it for scientific purposes. I did it for science. I did it for education. No, you didn't. You did it to monetize it.
Either way, Gannon Stouck's father, Al, spoke to Brian Etton.
The father spoke to Brian Etton. That's what I want to see. I want to hear what the parent thinks, because I would think they are mortified at this.
And on News Nation about this YouTuber, here's what he had to say.
The word I use to describe it is evil, Brian.
Evil. The father says it's evil. It is evil. It is selfish. It's trying to gain. It's trying to make money, not by the normal ways, not by the rights you have, but by going farther. It's evil. I agree.
In my opinion, it's just evil. Like the world got enough information from the trial to.
The world got enough information, but these YouTubers don't have an edge, and they have to find the edge. They have to find what you would consider, with a YouTube term, some form of clickable bait, something to bait you in so that you can click and they can get money off of it. Now, when we do YouTube videos and you click into them, we can make money, or you can donate to make money. You can support somebody to make money. Going to Patreon and locking these up in a video form on your Patreon, of course, why didn't you put it on YouTube? You knew you'd get banned.
Every discussion they want to have. Why do we need to go have?
Dead and our top. Oh my goodness. You know, I've been streaming so early, I haven't been seeing a lot of my Australian friends, but Banther jumped in. Banther's up early, so that's awesome. Would a mod pass my info to the channel owner? Well, what do you mean by your info? You got to let me know. I'm right here. So just tell me what's up.
Freedom of information request and pay for this kind of information, and then
hey, Texas,
dishonor my son by putting these photos out there. Like,
dishonor my son. Dishonor my son. And yeah, you gotta, what a lot of people do, I don't think they actually try to think about what this person is conveying. Okay, we all live in different areas. We all have different manner of speaking. And by saying dishonor my son in this way, you're taking away respect from the son and honor from the son. And that's the father's opinion. Do I think that that's what happened here? I do, if, again, the autopsy photos are being used in this kind of way. Of course I do. But then again, I have the worst opinion out of everybody on the platform on these kind of things. Remember, I always have the most extreme opinion. I'm too harsh with these people. We should be nicer to people that do this. We shouldn't be criticizing people that do this, according to some people, right?
And the bottom line, this was an insanity defense trial, so the manner of death really wasn't a big issue.
Yeah, the manner of death doesn't even matter. That's not what is on the line. People don't need to see what happened to gain more information on the details of the trial that you're following. Now, again, he's saying this because most people are drawn to gain more information, some newsworthy information on this case because of the court case. They want to know, is the person that's on trial going to get away with this or not? And because the manner of death is not the question on whether the person's guilty or not, it's the mental state of the individual. And because it's not contested, and because that, what do you gain is the point. And again, ZAV Girl stated scientifically, and I could say maybe she's trying to convey educationally, right? What do you gain from this? Like, you could just explain and it wouldn't be as bad. It's very confusing when you hear that, when you read that post.
We'll be back.
I'm trying to get to a legislature where they'll change the law to protect our children better. Okay, Beyond, do me a favor. I just I haven't been streaming a lot lately. This is probably my first stream in like a week because I've been really busy working and doing things to raise some funds and stuff around here. So if you can reach out in a live chat next week, I can write down your email and I can shoot you an email, because that actually sounds, I'd be interested in hearing what you're doing. Because personally, I think that that's what needs to happen. Sorry, I have to take my medication here. Personally, I do think you're right. So yes, I'd love to hear from you, just if you can, because I'm going to be so busy in the next few days doing some streaming and some live content. After I do that big hump of live content in next week, I'd love to be able to maybe exchange some stuff with you. So stop in and see me when I'm live again, okay?
Count number 1.
Thank you, Beyond. And I think that's great. I really do think that's great. I commend you for that.
Charge of murder. Okay,
that's the end of this video. Okay, so again, if you're just coming in, because I know I started the stream really early, I haven't been streaming a lot. We're not going to get a bunch of notifications going out for this stream. We probably will tomorrow or later tonight or whenever we stream again. We have a YouTuber named ZAV Girl, and as most people know, she took autopsy photos of a child during a case where I believe it was the mother that's on trial, or the woman on trial was using an insanity defense to try to get out of it. No contested information when it came to manner of death. Nothing you can really gain from looking at those photos. Again, the child was nude in the photos. The video contained the nude child, and this person was banned from Patreon for breaking terms of service and monetizing this person's photos of their dead body, especially because it was a child. I think once YouTube gets wind of this, they will also either lose monetization or their channel. But if YouTube doesn't get wind of this, and you're going to say, how would YouTube not know? It's on the news. YouTube will, it's a roll of the dice whether YouTube will find out about this, okay? Excuse me, but over on Brian Enton's page, you guys know Brian? You guys remember Brian? He gained huge, oh goodness, hit the wrong button. There we go. He gained huge attention during the Gabby Petito case and other cases, and he's just been on fire when it comes to being able to give the news through News Nation and Twitter. You guys know that I really follow Brian a lot for cases and information, because Brian, and this is what gets me when it comes to people that support tragedy pimps, people that support these kind of YouTubers doing what they're doing. I truly think that some of the people, not all of them, I think the people that are okay when they do these extreme things might just kind of be off their rocker as much as the tragedy pimp is themselves. Because they are literally like, oh, you have nude autopsy photos of this boy and his body after this happened. I'm going to run over to your Patreon and pay the money to watch it. And that is so crazy to me. Insane to me. Nude photos. It just blows the mind. Brian Enton, thank goodness, is actually reporting on this, because a lot of tragedy pimping, you wouldn't see them report. Even Court TV makes mistakes when it comes to dealing with tragedy pimps, giving attention to tragedy pimps. This has happened in the past. Is this some type of notification that the news media is waking up to the fact that these YouTubers are completely devoid of any type of ethical consideration in this? Brian says investigators have, oh, that's new. Okay, that wasn't there earlier. 1 hour ago? Okay. Let me get back to where it was last time. In an online video, ZAV GIRL apologized to Gannon Stotch's family for posting the 11-year-old's autopsy photos. She says she's sorry for any pain she caused the family and is doing soul searching and reflecting. I do not believe it at all right now, but if you guys know that one thing that I do that's pretty controversial, I will forgive people. I'm pretty forgiving when people kind of, you know, this is a religious word, but repent, or they stop doing the tragedy pimping and they move away from it. You know, I think that's a good thing. I think we should have solutions that we work to, and we should have criticisms that have a past state and a fail state. Because personally, one of my quotes that you can attribute to me is, when you fail at criticism, you're just bitching. And to fail at criticism, you don't give the person a logical way to do the right thing, and then you don't have a logical way for them to do the wrong thing that's actually based in logic, that's not based in an opinion, or it's not based, I guess you'd say, in feelings. But either way, I don't know. I would just not really soul searching and all this. Like, we would need to see a change to the channel and how you handle things like this, but we'll see. For me, none of this is about ZAV GIRL. A reminder to all, me included, covering these crimes is sensitive, and there are real families suffering. And that's what the tragedy pimps, whether ZAV GIRL is one or not, she definitely participated in an extreme example of it. She committed an extreme example of it there. That doesn't mean she is one. You know, it depends on how she handles content. But that's been the complaint by us and everybody else out there for a long time. It's the fact that news media, they go to college, and majority of what they learn in college, outside of, you know, the normal stuff that you think you'd learn, a big part of it is ethics. And ethics, news ethics, or ethics in media, ethics in reporting, as we've discussed in the past, is based on how you handle the information. Are you going to handle what you're reporting in a responsible way, or are you going to tabloid, or are you going to reality TV this subject out so that you can get more attention, more clicks, and make it more exciting, right? That would be the point there, the contestment there. What's this? Senator Chuck Schumer said he's introducing new legislation to declassify records related to UFOs. I'll retweet that. My bad. I will retweet that because I want to watch that later, but it has nothing to do with this, so let's skip it. Another little bit of it. Patreon statement below. They have removed ZAV GIRL's account after she posted autopsy photos of 11-year-old Gannon. How she got the photos and the fight to change laws regarding releasing children's autopsy photos when I fill in for Dan Abrams on News Nation at 9. That was 23 hours ago. So that would have been already done. So maybe we can see, we'll go see if we can find Brian Enton. Hey, Doc. Hey, who else is here? I just saw someone else. Marty, hey. Daisy, good to see you. Just subbed, couldn't speak. Well, no problem. I have a FOIA this petition. I can email it to whomever. A FOIA this petition. Is that people that are trying to change FOIA law or change how FOIA works. The old-fashioned term for ZAV Girl's action is sick. I completely agree, Doc. Oh my God, it's so good to see you. And it's good to hear you say that. I agree completely. It's not just devoid of respect for the family and the victim. It's literally exploitation of the victim, exploitation of the family. You have to take this boy in the literal worst moment of his life and the worst moment in the family's life, family being everybody from grandparents, aunts, uncles, friends, cousins, everything. You exploit all of those people's misery, all of those people's horrible thing that happened there so that you can make a couple extra bucks through people paying and clicking to Patreon. Again, I have a theory that it was posted to Patreon because it violated terms of service on YouTube. And in the past, as we know with Tragedy Pimps, because Patreon is a more closed system, the people that pay to look at your Patreon are likely not to report you to Patreon. They have money invested. They have time invested. They obviously like your channel enough to support you. So they are initially going to try to make excuses in their mind, whether they mean to or not, for what you're doing. I don't want to get into it too deep. Hello, Leah. Good to see everybody. Hello, hello. Missed you all very much. Good to see you. So Patreon said, we have removed her from posting for violations of community guidelines for violent and graphic content to create a safe environment for users. Patreon does not allow content glorifying or promoting violence of any kind. Also, you would think that it would matter that it happened to a kid. Gannon Stotch is, what is this? Calls YouTuber sharing the son's photo evil.
It is re-traumatizing. It's hard to, you know, we just finished the trial.
He said that it's re-traumatizing. I would agree. I think any of us that put ourselves into the shoes would agree. Re-traumatizing. And you know, that's a commonality when you look at people tragedy pimping. Remember when people pull out a bullhorn and they yell at someone like a grandmother that's lost a grandchild in their front yard, and they're trying to make sure that the grandmother in the house can hear them no matter how loud the TV is turned up or no matter if they're taking a shower or not. So they amplify their voices, or they track somebody down, and the first time they see the person, you know, they say something like, "Where is your child?" We've seen so many of these examples, and it is so, again, the point is, a lot of tragedy pimps have another thing that they do. And I don't know if this is what ZAV Girl does, but I know that the people that we've covered over the last year, they turn members of the family or other people, that not the person who committed the crime, because again, it's just everybody out there is mad at the person that committed the crime, and that person typically is locked up or they're away and they can't be targeted. So they find a family member and they find an excuse to turn them into a bad person, and they use the content that they do in order to get people mad at that person, so that those people are rooting for the things that you're doing to them. So again, this is a little different because she FOIA requested information. And again, there's a lot of times when you FOIA request information, you have to agree to certain conditions, right? You have to agree to things. Remember, we had somebody who FOIA'd an R report from the police because they found out that they narrowed down when this R happened, even though this person was a protected victim and decided to speak about it. Now, when they pulled that report, they had to agree that they wouldn't be publicly showing it and they wouldn't be using it to make money in any way. This report would never be used in any type of monetizable situation, right? Now, you could use it for research purposes, a documentary, you could use it for something else, right? And that's what they say they're doing in order to get the FOIA or in order to get the protected information. I have no clue what kind of additional circumstances that you agree to when pulling autopsy photos, especially of children, but you would expect that because it's dealing with children, there would be additional things you must respect, but I don't know.
It is re-traumatizing. It's hard to, you know, we just finished the trial just over 2 months ago, Brian, and now we're having to kind of relive some of this stuff and not being able to put it behind us.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think for me, like, what really pushed it over the edge was the charging the money. I mean, obviously posting it alone would be disgusting, but
Yes, posting it alone is disgusting. FOIA requesting it, looking at it, being concerned with it, why? But then you post it publicly, but then you lock it behind the paywall. All of these things just amplify the situation.
But then charging money to see those photos, it's just...
So there's money in that person's pocket. Money that people paid. Why would anyone even pay for it? Like, if you knew that that's what you were going to go look at, like, I understand people that were already a patron and they see the post and click it, but people that went and paid to join the patron in order to see it, I just don't understand it. I guess I'm crazy. I'm not of this world. I'm different in some way. This stuff is just insane to me.
It's really, really just awful.
It is. It's beyond awful. It's depressing. It's sad. It's disgusting. And that is for normal people just looking at what happened. I couldn't imagine what this father and the family's going through. I can't imagine.
The word I use to describe it is evil, Brian.
Yes.
In my opinion, it's just evil. Like the world got enough information from the trial to have every discussion they want to have. Why do we need to go have a freedom of information request? And
how can the police allow that? If I was the father, I'd be suing. I don't even know if I would sue the YouTuber, of course, because she probably didn't make that much money. Maybe a couple $100 or something. But I would be suing the police for literally just saying, oh, you want naked photos of my kid? Here you go. It's insane. We all must, in a normal society or in a normal world, we shouldn't have to fear that our child having something like this happen to them would then mean that random sickos, random weirdos, and random scammers and exploiters would be going around FOIA requesting this information. And not only that, but how do you go from the FOIA request to the video on Patreon? You'd think you would talk to somebody. Like, hey, what are you up to? Oh, I'm doing this. What do you mean you're doing this? Don't do that. You'd think there'd be somebody you'd speak to or someone maybe in a conversation you have in some kind of chat program or something. I mean, I can't fathom it.
Pay for this kind of information and then dishonor my son by putting these photos out there like that.
Dishonor
I mean, the world got
son.
to see it. I don't know how well you followed it, but the only day I chose not to come to the trial was the day that they showed the autopsy photos. Now I feel like I can't even go on YouTube without the possibility of accidentally coming across these photos.
You don't have to worry about that because YouTube would have banned the video right away. YouTube doesn't even allow that. There's literally no reason under the sun where that couldn't have been blurred if they were going to use them. There's no reason. I guess I'm crazy. I guess I'm out of my mind. And I get it. A lot of people keep telling me I have extremely crazy opinions towards tragedy pimps. And I have extremely crazy discussions about what they're doing and stuff. And I'm going too hard against them. I hear this from people. I disagree. I think that the people that should be, there should be more people out there that are speaking against this, and to basically see that this is one of the first times we've seen the news jump in like this. It's refreshing. It's just, it makes you feel a lot better about it. The lawyer video I posted kind of explains it, says, Dead, I'll find it, buddy. I will find it just in a minute. The photos should not have been in the court release at all. Exactly. Misha says in the first half of the 20th century, there were true detective magazines that pushed these guys' exploitative stories just to sell magazines. One of the famous cases was the Black Dahlia. I actually have a little bit of study into the Black Dahlia, and I never ended up doing a video. I need to keep that in my mind. I really do. FOIAs were meant to keep an eye on what governments are doing. They're very important. I took a class from the George Washington University on how to file them. We also discussed the ethics. Yeah, Doc, exactly. And this is what I mean by doxing, right? What other word do we use to say that somebody decided that they're going to pursue the most private information from someone? In this case, it would be the photos in this story. And you're going to pursue those photos. And then you got to ask yourself, what is the purpose of pursuing the photos? Is it responsible? Is it necessary? And that's the concept of doxing. The concept where you realize that you could do things, you could take actions so that you could gain information, pictures, or something private from someone else. But what's the point in posting? Now, that's where when you get to the what's the point in posting it is where it becomes doxing or not for me, right? What's the point in posting is, are you respecting the people? Have you blurred the images? If you have to use them for some reason, did you blur them? Did you do something to protect the people and protect the family members? Are you thinking about them in any way? You can tell that the news is thinking about them. The news isn't showing these. The news would never do that, right? I mean, you would think they wouldn't even want to show them in court unless they had to. And now it's just like, yeah, I've got this person has a FOIA request in their hand that contains this boy nude. And they didn't have any qualm about gaining. I mean, like, not only posting them publicly, but just having them. It just baffles the mind.
Yeah, and I when we talked to the prosecutor last night, I mean, they made a special effort to make sure that those photos were not released on the live stream. And other trials that I've covered, they always do that. I mean,
yeah, even the police aren't releasing these photos or anything. So it's like, what happened here?
They just want the jurors to see them because that's part of, obviously, the legal process, but it's not the kind of thing that the public needs to see at all.
Yeah, and the fact of making people pay for it. It's like,
do you think you may take legal action? Is there anything that you can do to get these off the internet to sort of like protect your son?
Please tell me that you're going to. Please.
We've talked through some of those options. The hard part, Brian, is I am just emotionally and psychologically and financially maxed out from this.
I know how you feel. That is a consideration. That is a consideration. Anytime you have to deal with something like this at all, you're financially, you're spiritually, you're emotionally drained. He's probably at the edge. I don't know how he can hold himself together to even talk to Brian about this. He's got a lot of strength. There's a lot of care for his son in this man that he said to himself, instead of me taking time to grieve, I'm gonna speak for my son. I'm gonna speak against what happened to him on the news so that it gets out there. And the only motivation that I can find for a parent that is trying to do what this father is doing right here, they don't want this. The pain they felt, the re-traumatizing that they felt, the disgust that they feel, the all of those things, they don't want another family to feel it. They don't want another person to experience it. And that's why I think you'll notice these types of instances where a father that you would think would be grieving and would be having a lot of time to himself is sacrificing that so that he can get up on the news and broadcast what happened to him. And nothing, as I've always said, will happen if other people that witness this father speaking for his son like this, if we don't pay attention, if we don't try and carry forward what happened here into future stories, if we don't track these kind of things and criticize them, then they become the norm. And it's almost like all of that time that we spent criticizing and fighting against tragedy pimping leading up to present day, any time where there's people not speaking it, any time when you've got the reward constantly hitting the tragedy pimp, but the criticism not hitting the tragedy pimp as much. As I stated just weeks or a month ago, I believe that the tragedy pimps are in full force right now. And people are starting to see the gain that these tragedy pimps get from what they do. And they see that there is no consequence that comes from it, or at least a minor consequence. You might have an annoying YouTuber like UNIRock complain about what you're doing or something, or a few other YouTubers complain and criticize you. But outside of that, is that really going to stop you from making that cheddar cheese? It doesn't stop the tragedy pimps. And we are in the era of the tragedy pimp right now. They are unchecked. They all have the fear of what happened to Molly Golightly in their mind. They all realize that they have to walk and toe the line and make sure that they don't do anything so obvious, like what ZAV Girl did, so obvious, even YouTube should be stepping in and doing something at this point. I don't know if they'll be notified. I don't even know if they'll find out about this. The news talking about it might get through to them, but this is not ABC News or CNN or Fox News. This is News Nation. So we don't know if it's going to trickle down and if this story is going to get bigger or not. It could just go away.
The last 3+ years of this process,
having empathy for others as well, and not that, well, someone else did it to me once, so I can do it to someone else mentality. Misha says, sometimes the issues are not as clear-cut as this case. Therefore, serious discussion is important. I agree. Jessica says, I respectfully disagree since everyone has a different upbringing. Therefore, we need a standard which proper education provides. Well, Jessica, no, I agree there. Absolutely. And I think that's what ethics in reporting does. And that's why when you look at the news media, you'll notice that even though they don't all agree, some of these news stations hate each other, they carry standards of how they treat certain stories. And as much as, and I was thinking about this yesterday, I always criticize the news. Yes, Fox and CNN, both sides. I criticize the news all the time. You guys know this about me. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, you know, in the very least, I can say that the reporters that get up there, as much as that they're politically skewed to the side that they're on, they do respect the stories that they cover. And they seem, outside of politics, that is, to respect the people, especially when it's a tragedy, especially when it's something bad happening to somebody else. They do seem to cover the story, give you what happened, and try to respect victims. And you just don't see that in the true crime on YouTube anymore. It's almost like every true crime channel out there, save a few, is in such competition with each other, and they see that they have this way to get a leg up, and they just head for it.
take legal action. I just don't know if I have that in me. But what I'm trying to do with you tonight, and I appreciate you having us on, is to help shape the narrative. And I don't really
help shape the narrative. Help shape the narrative that we are against tragedy pimps. We will not be the people that support the tragedy pimps, people that go out and chase down victims, or chase down family members of victims and try to pull any type of reality television or tiny detail of information or anything that they can link to a case so they can get clicks instead of providing opinion, commentary, discussion about a case. Those people we won't support. We will criticize them, and we won't be the people that get caught up in this.
I think I have to do much. Based on the messages you've received and the feedback I've seen from other responses, I don't think it's going to take much from us to have these people, repointed in the right direction.
Yeah, I think people just lose sight of the fact that these are real families dealing with this. I mean,
I disagree, Brian. I disagree. I think you have a very small amount of, now this, I'm probably just jaded or something. I've just been seeing the way that these tragedy pimps can be criticized so that they know, hey, you're doing it the wrong way, and you could do it this other way that will respect the family, but you won't get as much attention, you won't make as much money, but you'll still make money, and you'll still get attention. It's just not going to be as much. And you won't, they always choose to disrespect the family. They choose to go after, they choose to dig information, they choose to dox, they choose to harass, they choose to put the family down and insult them. They try to go find rumors on these people, run narratives about those rumors and carry them as far as they can go and steer away from the major points of the case, again, because the major points of the case are being argued by such a large swath of people that the competitive nature of clicks and money there is very low. So you go down to the area where there's not a lot of people, and that stuff that you grab will gain more attention because there's very few people reporting there.
There's a true crime community, and 99% of them have good intentions and are.
Brian, I'd say maybe 70% of them have good intentions at this point. I don't know, maybe if Brian just isn't including a lot of the pimping sides of the true crime community and looking at them and thinking that they're drama or that there's some other community. They are as much as true crime as the true crime channels are true crime. You look at the topics they're covering, the things that they're following, and the majority of their clicks all come from major true crime stories, viral true crime stories. So I completely disagree with you, Brian. I understand somebody who's really busy reporting the news and getting the breaking stories is just looking from the outside. But when you're someone like myself that's been in these communities, that's been around these people, 99% are the tragedy pimps. 1% would be the people that are actually respecting people when they cover stories. That's what I see being on the ground in this area.
Really focus on the victims. I'm sure you felt that through all of this, but there's just those bad apples out there that are trying to make money. The other thing I keep thinking about is the fact that she and others were even able to get the photos.
Yeah, and again, it's exploitation of systems. When they create a FOIA system that could get these photos, they're thinking it's for like a documentary. They're thinking it could be for scientific research or something. You know, some extreme thing. They're like, well, hey, we've got to have a system where only the people... That's what the protection of FOIA is there for. Now, Doc mentioned why we need FOIA. And FOIA being there allows these type of requests to be accessed to other sides of the aisle. And, you know, you would never expect that someone, like let's say a magazine, right? Back in the day when it was magazines that you bought at the grocery store or whatever, that you read in the dentist office because the internet wasn't around, you would never expect to open a magazine and see the autopsy photos of a 10-year-old completely nude, uncensored, and right in front of your face because of educational scientific purposes, as ZAV GIRL said was the reason for doing it. And so I don't know if that FOIA system was there and they ever considered that people would just be like, and then you've got perverts. You know, just think about the fact that if a tragedy pimp can get those pictures as easily as they did, what kind of other sickos can get these pictures?
It seems like there should be some kind of law, or it shouldn't be that easy to just write it.
It shouldn't be that easy for a lot of things, a lot of methods that these tragedy pimps use. We could talk about the tragedy pimps that go around doxing criticizers. We could talk about the tragedy pimps that go around, you know, pushing forward those boundaries and for the purpose of intimidation and harassment and on all the other, you know, tracking people, following people, getting a hold of family members. These things shouldn't be allowed, but they are.
Check and put in a request and be able to get those photos sent to you.
There should at least be a requirement for a recorded telephone interview. There should also be a way, or if you misuse these photos in extreme circumstances, there should not be, in my opinion, a way to get extreme photos like this unless there is a check system. So when they give the photos, they do a phone interview, they get the information of the person, they make the person agree that they can. Now, remember when that R report got pulled, I mentioned this earlier, but for those of you that weren't here, when that R report that we've criticized got pulled and then it was used as YouTube content to try to attack the YouTuber that was R'd, we were amazed that they were able to get that, and we were amazed that one of the person that grabbed it, the person that pulled the FOIA request or pulled the request for the police report for the R report, they were told when they pulled that they were not allowed to use it for commercial purpose, money making. There was a list of things that they had to agree to not do with the R report. They did all of those things anyway, as we all know. So what's the consequence for someone that does that? Shouldn't there be a consequence like inlaid into the FOIA system or in the system that allows you to get these reports? There is none, by the way.
Yeah, once again, I think that's a question for a legal representative. You know, I do believe in the freedom of information to
I do too.
certain extent.
To a certain extent.
But I think the problem from my perspective is you can't always control what someone with evil intentions will do, and that's...
You know what's crazy? They keep mentioning evil intentions, and I hope you all agree with the father. Evil, because it's beyond selfish. It's beyond any other like reasoning for this to happen. It is evil. That's
what we have in this case here.
If you were to ask me, is it evil to file FOIA requests to pull pictures of anyone's kid that's gone through something like this? And there would only be like a very few reasons why I would say it's not evil. It's evil outside of those very, very few reasons.
So I don't know. I'm not a legal guy. I'd have to look at the ins and outs of the FOIA Act and all that. But,
Yeah.
you know, there is a lot of good that comes out of release of information. It's just in this instance, you know, and having to bear this burden myself, it's hard to say this, but in this instance, someone has taken that and turned it into evil.
I love this father and turned it into evil. He keeps stressing how it's evil because it is evil. Pure evil.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you.
And Brian agrees. Thank God. Thank God, Brian. Now, if we can only get you to wake up to the amount of tragedy pimping that exists on the platform, if we can only get you to wake up to the fact that this will only keep happening if we don't do something about it, then maybe, you know, and you know what? I don't even need Brian to wake up. I'm just so happy that Brian covered this in the first place and he cares enough to make this part of his report, because yeah, when you are a news broadcaster, you also have to look at what you're broadcasting and ask yourself if people are going to want to know it. Are they going to want to hear it? And I do think that he could be, you know, not getting a lot of people watching this segment. A lot of people might click off to something else. So, you know, there are going to be people that are interested in what he's talking about here. But so this kudos, my point is kudos to Brian Enton again. The man just keeps shocking us as someone that does respect families, somebody that doesn't cut corners, somebody who will not tragedy pimp so that he can make an extra $1,000, you know?
Well, Al, thank you for coming on. Again, I'm so sorry that you had to go through this. I totally understand.
So some of you will be saying, what did the YouTuber who did this to this family say when she realized the extent of the coverage of her action? Well, she uploaded an apology video. Let's take a look. Gamer, what's up, bro? Okay. So it looks like Fox News 31 Denver also did a video on this. So that's more than News Nation. That's good. But we've got ZAV Girl's apology. Let's just take a quick look at this
developments
Fox News
in a murder
report
case with national
before we
attention.
jump
Fox
in.
31, of course, has been following the investigation into 11-year-old Gannon Stouck's murder for years. His stepmother, Letitia Stouck, found guilty of killing her stepson. Stepmother. I think I said she was the mother earlier. Okay, stepmother. The verdict came down in May, but tonight, more controversy brewing in the now closed case.
YouTubers are reportedly charging people to view Gannon's autopsy photos. Fox 31's Talia Cunningham is in studio with the very latest, all new at 9.
What does YouTube think about this? Have people asked YouTube, you know, tag them and say, hey, what are you guys doing about someone that did this?
Oh, yeah.
Well, Erica, two self-proclaimed true crime YouTubers are facing some serious backlash tonight. Gannon, who's pictured here, was killed back in 2020.
So sad. So sad. Oh, this world is so evil. This world is pure evil.
Medical examiners say the 11-year-old suffered 18 stab wounds, blunt force injuries, and a gunshot to the jaw. So the two YouTubers reportedly charged their patrons to view the gruesome autopsy photos, and people are furious about it.
Yeah, he was nude.
They go by the names of ZAV Girl and Natasha Cooper and claim to have a passion for understanding human behavior. So ZAV Girl has posted multiple...
What? A passion for understanding human behavior. Wow.
Other videos that you see on your screen, but many people say she's gone too far, exposing the images of the murdered child and then charging people to see it. The YouTuber addressing why she's charging money, stating she put a lot of time and hard work into making her video and lining it up with the coroner's audio to.
Oh my God, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I put a lot of time and work into this, so I should be able to charge $3.
The autopsy photos, basically the effort that went behind that post. The district attorney of Colorado Springs is calling it disgusting.
Ooh, district attorney.
This just keeps those wounds open. They know that Gannon's body is being paraded around essentially on the internet.
Paraded around. Wow, I'm really starting to like these district attorneys and these news reporters and the father here.
For highway, and there's nothing.
It is gross. It is gross behavior.
They can do to stop it, and it's just grotesque.
Grotesque.
So ZAV GIRL did address the backlash in a now deleted post on YouTube defending her.
See, she defended her actions in her post. That's not an apology. She says different people feel differently about this. Other sociopaths, other psychopaths that will sell photos like this on Patreon. There are people that are okay with this. What? You know? Okay, let's move on. ZAV GIRL is going to do an apology. Now, when we've covered YouTube apologies in the past, it's been a while since I did normal YouTube commentary, most of you know, because I've been covering Tragedy Pimpin' for a while. So it's probably been a year or two. But I have covered YouTube apologies in the past, and most of them are horrible. And we have seen a couple actually really good YouTube apologies. I can't even think of who it was because it's been so long, and they're so few and far between. It'll come to me as I'm in this live stream. I'm sure I'll remember a couple of those apologies. The majority of apologies, though, become viral even in some situations because of how bad they are, how narcissistic they are. They put the blame off onto others. They won't take accountability for what they did. They don't apologize directly in any kind of rational or normal way. So let's see if ZAV GIRL, number one, you've got to have a lot of gall just to post an apology video, and you're taking on the responsibility of actually letting people know that you understand what you did wrong and that you are sorry for it. So you need to be able to name what you did wrong, name who you hurt, and then make an actual heartfelt apology. Let's see.
Hi.
Well, let me see what you guys are saying first, because someone just tagged me. Imagine the amount of pedos that now have their hands on. I said that earlier, Sunshine. I said that earlier, and it is shocking. It's shocking. Jessica says if they were actually passionate about understanding human behavior, they would have earned a degree in psychology or criminology instead of tragedy pimping for money on YouTube. Jessica, such a good point. Such a good point. Let's hear it. Here we go. Let's hear it.
Hi, everyone. If you're listening to this, then you likely know about the last few days. I want to apologize to everyone I've hurt, but especially Gannon's family. I've been doing some major soul searching and reflecting. There are many trying to define my motivations, and while I'm not looking for forgiveness or...
Hold on. Define your motivations. See, this is what I think a lot of people don't get in these situations. There are factual motivations, and it depends on what you did and how you did it. We know that one of the motivations was money. It's just factual. It's not an insult. We're not trying to cancel you, because I don't cancel people. I'm criticizing. One of the best things I think that could come out of this is to see this YouTuber move completely away from tragedy pimping, actually do that soul searching, and realize that ethics in how, if you're going to be reporting true crime, you have to have at least a minor knowledge of ethics in that kind of field. And then educate yourself in that field while making sure that the stuff you're posting and the way that you're covering things are number one, respecting the victims and respecting the family and the other people. Because again, when we see people disrespect victims and the family of victims, especially when they do it just to have content, just so they got something to post, using a clickable event that they know that people that watch their channel want to hear about, Yeah, those things are motivations, money, clicks, you know.
Trying to make excuses. I do hope to provide additional context that has not been made clear.
See, this is really bad. We're at 24 seconds and you're trying to give excuses for what you did. And honestly, I can't think of any.
I have followed the Letitia Stout case closely, and it was actually during the trial that I made the official records request.
Why? Why? So the first thing I think I can criticize is what drives you to need more information than what you're already being given. If your intent is to report on the case in a thorough way, you don't need to file that. You don't need to file that unless, oh, I'm looking for something they might have missed. And I'm going to take any of those little details that they might have missed and I'm going to post it to YouTube to get views off of it. Exactly. You're digging into things that are outside of the major points. In fact, what points can you gain that would add to what you're saying your intent is? Your intent is to report on the situation. You don't need that, just like Gannon's father said, and that's why I said the man was so smart. You don't need that information. What could ever drive you there?
And it was in El Paso County, Colorado. I requested all the video, audio, and written records. I made no request for autopsy.
Okay, that's insane. Number one, this is supposed to be an apology. This doesn't matter. Even if they accidentally sent you those photos, the fact that you tried to monetize and post them publicly should be what you're apologizing for. The fact that you're saying this before you've even fully explained why you're sorry to the parents just gave a major downgrade to what you're doing, and that's just me being honest.
See photos.
I'm not trying to cancel you or be rude. I'm being honest.
I wanted all trial records, but my main interests were interviews with Letitia.
Okay, so I'll say this at least. I never thought that you tried to get those photos. You know what I'm saying? Like, I never thought that your intent was to get those photos for a bad reason. I'll say it that way, because I think you realized that you could get those photos, or maybe it didn't cross your mind. I don't think that matters. The only thing I would be judging you for is if you said to yourself, I want to grab those and specifically use those. And I do not think that you did that. So yeah, that's just one plus that I'll give her.
The autopsy photos just happened to be in the files. I spent time reviewing what I received so I could provide more info from.
I can't believe 1,800 people upvoted this video. There's no faith left in humanity. There's no faith for humanity to have. If you're a human being and you have faith in humanity from a major perspective, not in individuals, but from a major perspective, you're just going to disappoint yourself.
In the trial. I believe many of my images were already shown during the televised trial, and I saw the photos on other public YouTube channels that live streamed the trial.
That's insane. They literally, Brian Inton said that they did not show, that the DA censored those photos. No one is discussing photos that were already shown in the trial. Nobody is criticizing you for showing those photos that you could have grabbed from the trial or live streams from the trial. People are criticizing you for the ones that were censored that you showed, at least if you were listening to the news report from Brian Inton. And I believe the DA weighed in on that. Maybe it was the DA that said it too, because they interviewed the DA at one of the, anyway, if you were watching earlier. Though they stated that they did not show those specific photos that showed his nude body and many other things I'm not going to name.
And shared the evidence. I didn't think any of the images were new. These photos were already public, although the video I put together with the coroner's voice was my own creation.
So let me get this straight. Instead of you using the other video, you said to yourself, I'm going to take the stuff that they sent me. I don't believe you. I do not believe you here. Okay? It would have been so much easier just to go press record for a few seconds on a live stream to get that video that you need. If you want to show something specific that's already been showed, that's the easiest way to do it. It is much harder to have to FOIA something, to gain the thing through FOIA, to put that into a either picture or to scan it into your system so that you can put it into your editor and then make the video out of it. It's so much quicker. It's so much easier. You wouldn't have even thought to scan those photos in if that was the case. I don't believe this point in the apology. I believe that she scanned those photos and put them. Now, again, this is why, if another point I'll make to actually debunk what she's saying, right? To be able to expose what she's saying as not true. This is why you didn't upload it to YouTube. You put it behind the $3 Patreon post and you didn't put it on YouTube because of these specific photos. So no, I do not believe you. I'm not putting you down. I'm not hating on you. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's my take.
I chose to put the video on Patreon because of the sensitive nature of the evidence.
So hold on, but you just said that every picture in this was already on YouTube. So now you're admitting the opposite. Now you're saying that the stuff in my video is too sensitive to be on YouTube. So why is it then that you just told us that the other YouTube channels and the other YouTube live streams showed everything that you put in? Obviously, what the DA, the father, and Brian Enton said, where you gained photos that were not shown to the public, that were extremely graphic and were censored from the live stream, like they said, you obviously put it on Patreon for that reason. And you kind of admitted that. You just said it was too graphic for me to put on YouTube. Exactly. None of that graphic stuff, that the X amount of graphic photos, I don't know if it was 3, 5, or 7 or whatever, or even one graphic photo that you put in, has not been shown on YouTube, or else it would have been struck down. It would have been taken off the platform, and they would have been reporting on how this happened and how this is horrible to traumatize the family in that way. I can't believe this part of it. I will not believe this part of the apology.
Putting the evidence behind a paywall meant added security.
For security for what? So you didn't put it behind the paywall, knowing that you had photos no one else had, which would drive people to Patreon and would make sure that you profited off of these photos being in there. For the photos are new. People want to see the new stuff. That drives people to Patreon to look at it, thus making you get money from them clicking and doing it. And again, this is why you shouldn't have done this apology. The apology should have just been extremely straightforward, and it should have explained how you hurt the parents, how you learned that you can't do this again, and the steps you need to take in order to not do it again, or how you've learned from it would be the only logical. And again, I'm not telling her what to do. I'm stating what will logically, make up for the damage. So the apology, the point of it is make sure people know that you're not going to do it again. Make sure people know that you've learned from what you did. Apologize as in, hey, what I did hurt these people in this way, and I'm sorry for that. I'm truly sorry for that, and that's why I'm up here embarrassing myself or putting myself into this position, humbling myself so that I can say this genuinely. And again, at the 24-second mark, you had not done those things and you went into the excuses, and you're still in them at the 120 mark.
And I naively thought they wouldn't be made public. The video...
What? Hold up. Wait a minute. So you publicly posted the autopsy photos in this video on Patreon that you put behind a paywall so that they wouldn't be made public. And this is what gets me. I don't think a lot of people understand this. Your paywall doesn't make those photos not publicly posted by definition. Okay? You posting them there is publicly posting them. So I disagree with you on that point. It's just a disagreement.
The video I created with a voice from the coroner wasn't meant to be shared outside of Patreon. And
that's even more naive. That statement you made is equally as naive and unbelievable as you doing it in the first place.
It was not to put the photos on YouTube, a public forum.
Patreon is a public forum. No, it's not, because you got to pay $3 to see it. Like, people are going to go down there. People go to Patreon, what you put there, and they download it anyway, and they share it anyway. But you know that's going to happen.
Where the views would have allowed me to make more money.
No. Okay, wait a minute. Hold up. Wait a minute. You get about 10 or 12,000 views when you put up a video. Okay? So even if you had 10 people watch your video, you're going to make more money from 10 views on Patreon than you would from your 11,000 views on YouTube. This is a lie. You know this is a lie. I don't know if this was to manipulate people. I don't know if you're just in lie mode. I don't like, again, maybe you're just mistaken, but I don't believe that. So one more time, you just said that you would have made more money by posting it on YouTube. No, you wouldn't have. You would not have made more money. So it's $3 to watch it. 10 people makes $30 on Patreon. 10,000 clicks on YouTube is not $30. It might be, but still, I'm saying 10 clicks. You at least got 100 clicks, right? 200 clicks, 1,000 clicks on Patreon. How many did you get? Right? That would be something. You should tell us how much money you made. How much money that was generated. I'm not saying you made it. Patreon might have. See, here's how Patreon works. Whenever you've got money in your Patreon, you can click a button and withdraw that money. So it's very possible that she posted this on Patreon and it was up for like a little while before it was taken down. So let's say 200 people, 100 people, 1,000 people click it before Patreon bans you. If you went and paid yourself out, you would have gotten that money. So as long as you paid out before you were banned, you got your money, right? So anyway, I'm just making a point there.
And the photos would be seen by more people. Because
now hold on a minute. That doesn't make sense because nobody should be seeing these. Nobody. There's no oh, you meant security for the photos. Remember earlier she said something about there's more security on Patreon and I was like, what? She's saying that if they're locked behind the paywall on Patreon, it's a more secure environment for these photos. That just is not true. I don't buy that.
Because the video was placed behind a paywall, rumors about the images not being blurred or being different than what was shown in trial started to surface.
And you didn't yank it down immediately? Rumors? Now hold on. These aren't rumors. They were not blurred and they were different than what was shown in trial. The DA, the district attorney, said this. Are you calling the district attorney a liar? Brian Enton, the father of Gannon, and district attorney, I forget his name, are you saying that they are liars? I'm just asking.
No photos shows genitalia.
What? Immediately after you posted this, people came into my live stream and stated that they saw his genitalia. I didn't see anything. I didn't look. I didn't watch it. I wasn't a patron of yours, but people that were subscribed to your Patreon had gone into... So the people that said that were lying, the people that went around stating that he was completely nude, that there was his stuff showing, they were just lying then.
I have made no jokes about the photos. I don't even cuss on my channel, and I would never allow derogatory remarks about a victim. I realize my intentions were not communicated well.
Sunshine says Natasha Cooper also stole the pictures from her. See, and this is the thing. She wants to act like there's some security to posting it there. The minute she posted it there, any other tragedy pimp that didn't file a FOIA request had those photos. You know they did, right? Now, Natasha is trying to convince us that it didn't show anything sensitive. That's the opposite of what everybody is on the internet's been saying. So, and here's the problem I have. Molly, when I first started watching Molly, I would, as you guys would educate me and tell me I was dumb for this, when I first started watching Molly, you guys would tell me, Uni, stop saying that she might be doing something good. She never does anything good. She's always doing something evil, always doing something for money, always exploiting something for money. And I would say to you guys in the beginning, come on, guys. You can't always be doing something exploitative for money on a channel. That would take a lot of work. And of course, by the end of the Molly saga, I agreed with all of you. Molly, everything she did was exploitative for money, okay? So now that I meet a new... See, has Molly changed me? I don't think Molly did. Evil has changed me. Whereas I used to be the kind of YouTuber that would give you the benefit of the doubt in this apology, I can't do it. It's just my honest reaction, but I can't do it. Can't do it.
My channel style is sort of me hanging out with friends and speaking off the cuff, and I did not articulate my reasons or think my decision through.
You just said you did think your decision through because you didn't post anything that wasn't already shown on YouTube through live streams, and that you didn't post anything that showed the private parts. Again, the DA and Brian didn't say that she's the opposite of what she's saying. It's hard for me to believe you didn't think it through when you've already made these defenses for yourself. It's just an observation. That's just my observation.
At this time, my Patreon website has been shut down. I am not sharing any of the photos or video anywhere, although you can see the photos published on other popular channels.
Okay, listen to me closely. Any channel that would show the photos of that poor boy, YouTube is ridiculous for not stepping in and banning those channels. This is the danger of tragedy pimping. I'm about to go on a speech. I'm just warning you ahead of time.
Nothing you see is from me, nor will ever be.
Yes, it was. You released them. You are the source. You posting this caused the tidal wave of these other YouTubers grabbing them from you by the single press of a button. Now they've got them, and they went and showed them. They didn't put them on Patreon. They took them straight to YouTube. And I would hope this would be that catalyst for YouTube to step in and start banning all of these tragedy pimps. But I don't believe they will. I don't believe they will. And again, remember, my opinion is too harsh on the tragedy pimps. You shouldn't be as harsh as UNIRock.
To those who have supported me and followed my channel, and to the true crime community, I'm sorry I let you down.
You just said, though, that you didn't let anyone down and made a bunch of excuses and said that you didn't distribute the pictures and that blah, 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 blah. So how did you let them down if what you just said is true? Now, again, you didn't even bother to talk about the father and the family, how you hurt them, how you did something wrong towards them, and just made excuses this whole time. But then at the end of the video, you're going to act as if you did hurt them and apologize and all this. It's a back and forth thing. I'm getting different vibes throughout different parts of this, just to give you my opinion here. So
cannot imagine the pain Gannon's family has gone through.
Why? Why did they go through this additional pain? Tell us, please.
My anger over what happened to Gannon is the reason I started following the case. I'm not this evil, heartless person like many are saying. But
okay. I'll believe you. I know. I just said how I don't like giving them the benefit of the doubt. I do believe you're not an evil, heartless person. I do believe that when you get on YouTube, you get caught up. Okay? I believe that, you know, you sometimes take the basis of your channel and take it to extremes because, of course, the people that do the most entertainment, the most of what they do are the ones that make a mark and grow their channels, okay? So it ends up being very hard to draw that line. And I am not going to think that because you've made this mistake and because you've posted some questionable, is it tragedy pimping or is it not content in the past, that you're a bad or an evil person. But the reason people like the news, the DA, the father, and others are discussing just how bad this is because it is bad. It's very bad. We live in a culture in this true crime community. We live in a place where we become desensitized to these people taking actions that are not in any way or would never be in any way normal. Going to someone's door that lost a child just because you think the police are wrong, that this woman that was cleared as a suspect. Going in and bullhorning a grandmother who just lost her grandchild because you think that the grandmother should have grabbed the mother by the hair and dragged her to the police station before they even could do anything, and all the other criticisms that I've made over and over and over again towards this community. These things are they would never be acceptable in any community. Everyone in every community would step in real life and prevent these things from happening on a physical level. They would throw the person with the bullhorn out of their community. They would, file charges against a person for X, Y, and Z. And because the internet is this screen and this shield between reality and between the created reality of the internet, it allows people to do things and get away with things they would never get away with if everybody just lived together in a little town and y'all decided to do this. I always take the example of the tragedy pimping or the scam. If it's a scam, I don't know. Is this a scam or not? You'll have to ask me at the end of this. But I always take the example and I relate it to a community. And what do I mean by that? I mean, like, we could say, take the internet out of the picture. So ZAV Girl is someone who has a theater and she lives in this town. We all live in this town and we all go to a few different theaters. Now the YouTubers, the popular YouTubers are the people that run the theater and put on the content. And one night we go and this is what we see, right? There would be a revolt in the theater. People would walk out. They might even shut your theater down. The cops might be like, you ain't allowed to do this no mo. We don't know how you got these pictures. We don't know why you showed them. Get out of here. Nuh-uh, ain't happening. You know what I'm saying? Like it would be such an uprising. It would be such a thing if it happened in physical reality. And I don't, a lot of times people need to cut the internet out of the picture and ask themselves, because we are criticizing and asking like what's right and what's wrong. And the only way you're going to know that is if you actually criticize it from a real place, which would be reality, which would be community.
But I'm also doing a lot of self-reflecting, and I'm looking into sensitivity training. I did not want to add to the family's loss with anything I said or shared about this case.
And I hope you actually are going to do that. And because you are stating that's what you're going to do, I will not be harsh with you in the end of this. I don't like your apology, but that doesn't mean that I can't, take what you're saying at face value at this part of it. If you would have cut the middle of the apology out, say the beginning of it at 24 seconds, cut to this part of it, I would have said perfect apology. Well, I would have said you probably should have elaborated a little more on how you hurt the family and how you're not going to do it again. But that's optional. So I would have given it to you. So if you take this whole part out right here, I think it's a good apology.
And it will be a long time before I ever trust myself or my decisions again.
We're all like that, ZAV Girl. Look, you're getting beat down and people are mad at you. But here's the deal. I don't think a lot of people would have even stepped up to put up an apology because they would have been worried that they're just going to get torn apart no matter what they say. So I give you props for that. Your apology is half and halfy, but I can go ahead and remove this part from my head and tell you that if you keep your promises, people will let it go and don't, as long as nothing like that happened again, you'd be good. But the other thing I want to make sure I state is that, you also have to apply this concept of what happened to the lower things you're doing. That would be the other thing I give a piece of advice for. And what I mean by that, when you decide to cover a part of a story and it's involving these kind of extreme topics, ask yourself, why am I covering this? What information am I giving in the video? And is it relevant to why I'm covering this? And if it is, cover it. If it's not, put something else in the video. That would be my, advice.
To Gannon's family, I have no words that can make this better. No one should have to ever go through what you guys have been through. I'm so very sorry for.
Okay. All right. I got to think about this for like 2 seconds, but then I'll give my final verdict on the apology here. And I'm going to ask you, So I just asked you guys a poll. What do you think about the apology? Is the apology a pass? Is the apology a fail? Or is the apology an unknown? Do you not know? Are you not sure? And while you decide if you want to vote, I'm going to give you my thoughts. I do think that in all, it's a fail of an apology for the reasons I stated. Though, because I do think you are, because of your promise that you're going to some kind of like therapy or some type of reevaluation of everything. And what I'll say is the good news about these kind of situations is that this isn't something unknown. In the future, we're going to be able to know if you meant what you said. So you'll be able to look at your content and look at what you're doing and say to ourselves, is she respecting the people she's covering? Is she trying not to tragedy pimp? Or is she taking shortcuts? Is she focusing in on irrelevant pieces of information? Is she tracking down people that are like relatives that don't matter at all, spreading rumors? Or is she giving opinions, covering it the right way, right? And I think that because like a lot of people might who used to watch ZAV Girl, they're not going to watch ZAV Girl anymore, you'd think, right? Well, if you do have an apology and she does carry through with her apology, maybe she could win back some of those people, right? Let's see what you guys think, though. So out of about 20 votes, only a few people called it a pass. Most people called it a fail. Yeah, I'm with you. I think that, again, if you would have cut the middle out, it would have been a passive an apology. But I do think she still doesn't have to be canceled. She doesn't have to be hated as long as this is a mistake. And again, when we look towards anybody that claims they're changing a behavior or that they're changing something they've done, you can look at, you can actually look for evidence that they are changing it in the way they handle things in the future. And I don't just mean whether she shares photos like this again or not. I mean, the sharing of the photos is obviously because she slipped too far into this thing, this concept that we've all been talking about for a long time, that we all summarize as tragedy pimping. You're not reporting, you're not commentating, you're not discussing, you're not making content or documenting. You are taking shortcuts, exploiting a story, or come here, buddy. Come here. Come here. Hold on. There's a fuzzy guy right here. Fuzziest little bottom that ever existed in the world. Oh, it's the fuzzy. Look, everybody, it's the fuzziest bottom that ever was. Say hi to everybody, Bow Wow. Hello, I'm the new mascot. I'm Bowser. I bite UNIRock every night, really, really hard. When it's bedtime, I bite the living crap out of him. And then he's all like, ow, stop biting me. And I'm like, I'm gonna keep biting because I'm crazy. Oh, you're such a good boy. Such a good boy. Sorry, I had to show off. I had to show off my little pupkin. He's turning into a really good mascot for the channel. He really is. He will be. He'll definitely be live streaming with me, but it's going to be a little bit. It's going to be a little bit before he's big enough to be our mascot and to hang on stream, but he's starting to calm down. He's in the biting phase of puppydom. Okay, so final thoughts on ZAV Girl. So that I went too long, man. I wanted to do an hour-long live stream, and we're at the hour and 28-minute mark. Let's go ahead and end this with my final opinions. My final opinions, Bizzy. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. As always, if you like my content, smash the like button. If you hate me, smash the dislike button. Make sure you subscribe here in UNIRock 2 because I will be uploading a little bit of a commentary on the situation with ZAV GIRL, giving a very short, 10-minute opinion so I can squash everything down, what I think about this, into 10 minutes. So keep an eye on UNIRock 2. And if you really want to support the channel, it's paypal.me/UNIRock. Join the channel. You can super chat, of course, when we're live in the future. Now, what do I think? What are my final thoughts on ZAV GIRL? I don't think ZAV GIRL will watch this stream, though I do believe she is subscribed to this channel because a bunch of people in my chat told me that ZAV GIRL has been in my chat before, and I never, knew who she was or anything. I think I remember talking, because you know how I always talk to the chat. I think I remember talking to somebody named ZAV GIRL once or twice, but I don't hate anybody. ZAV GIRL, if you're going to be a YouTuber, you got to get used to people trying to cancel you. It's happened to me about 165 times where people try to cancel me. Now, the point is, in your situation, you've done something that I've never seen other YouTubers do, honestly. Most of the time, people try to get mad over opinion-based things. This is one of those kind of weird situations. Now, ZAV GIRL has a supportive base, and those people are happy that she uploaded an apology. We could go to the comments section and look at it. I don't want to do that, though, but let me just tell you a couple of them. So, let's start here. The man who's being investigated for confessing to JonBenet had photos of her in his computer that he used for child P. This is why you don't put this stuff online. Putting a child's autopsy photo on Patreon for money is the most 2023 thing I've ever heard. Actually, I have to upload that because it really is like a 2023 thing. I can't believe anybody in their right mind would want to view the... that's the thing. That's the other thing. I'm glad that got almost 800 upvotes. 800 upvotes. And that's my realization. Like, who even would watch that without flipping out? Without being like, I'm out of here. I'm outie 5,000. See ya. Peace. How can you not understand displaying a brutalized, tortured 11-year-old is morally wrong? You have lost your way big time when you lose your humanity and empathy for a child. Yeah, these are all, I think, normal kind of takes here. Letitia took Gannon's life, you took his dignity. Oh gosh, that's actually true. My intentions were not communicated well. Oh please, this is an apology. Here's what an apology looks like. I'm sorry I did this. My conduct was horrific. Well, exactly. This is kind of what I was explaining earlier. This is the compact version of the apology. I'm sorry I did this to the people you hurt. My conduct was horrific. Here's how I hurt people, and then here's how I here are the steps I'll take to not do it ever again, and blah, 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 and yada, yada. So I just want to make sure everybody understands my opinion. I do not think that she is evil, but she definitely committed an evil act and did something really messed up. Now, the problem with YouTube, I don't think that it's going to matter. If YouTube doesn't ban her, which I do think she will get banned from YouTube if YouTube sees the news reports, or if people go on like a Team YouTube tagging spree and link the news reports, then maybe she would be banned. Outside of that happening, though, YouTube is so busy. If people's behavior do not make it in front of the right people, then they don't have consequences on YouTube. It's why you constantly see tragedy pimping, like really extreme instances of tragedy pimping going unpunished. So we'll have to see if YouTube steps in to do anything here. But in the end, I don't think she should be canceled. Like, I don't think a swath of people should go around harassing her or anything like that. But I do, in my opinion, I think that she should probably upload another apology after she's had that, or not apology, another video after she's done that kind of thing. She said, what'd she say? She was doing sensitivity training or something like that or whatever. But again, this is just a 2023 type of thing to happen. It really is a 2023 kind of thing. It's something where you just would never expect this, but yet we've seen so many instances of things like this happening that we just become desensitized to it. It's almost expected. I used to be like, yeah, we'll never see somebody do something like that on YouTube. You crazy, bro? That's against the rules. And all of you know why that's such a crazy statement to make now, because people break the rules in the most extreme ways. It's almost normalized now for people, when you criticize somebody and they don't like it, to come after you and your family. And there's not really anything you can do. So anyway, I'd like to see that training certificate. Okay, here's my, let me say something about this whole sensitivity training. Sensitivity training isn't appropriate for her here. This is basically like good versus evil. I think it's why it's so important that Brian Enton gets credit for bringing the father on, and the father gets the most massive amount of credit for, instead of telling Brian, I'm grieving, I'm dealing with things, I'm not going to do an interview, for him to say, no, my son deserves dignity and respect, and I'm going to speak out about this. So I give the most props to the father, and I give props to Brian Enton for putting him on. And the father said, this is evil. And he repeated it and repeated it and repeated that it was evil. And it is evil. And we just don't have people out there caring anymore for each other, trying to be positive with what they do, trying to actually affect some kind of positive thing to happen. And that's normal here on the internet. It's just that kind of crazy place. It's very rare to find that anymore, isn't it? All right, y'all. I apologize for not streaming as much as normal in the last few weeks, but I have been working to generate more funds here for a very specific reason that you know of. Though this weekend I'll have free time. Now next week I'm going to be busy Monday and Tuesday. Though I am going to start trying to squeeze a short stream in on those nights. So I don't know what night, because of course Monday and Tuesday are nights that I typically take off of streaming anyway, because Monday and Tuesday are just bad nights for streaming. Though we are going to work in some stream coming up this week, pretty much every other day, if not every day. So if you like our show, if you want to stop in and just see what we're doing, make sure that you re-ring the bell, make sure it's been rung, make sure you get our notification, and keep an eye on UNIRock too, like I said. But no matter what you decide to do, thank you for watching. And I want you to do something positive for yourself. I want you to take care of yourself. Get outside, get some sun, unless you're in the southern hemisphere, because it's winter in the southern right now, right? Yeah. So if you're in the northern hemisphere, get some sun, get out there, do something fun, and take care of yourself and be positive, and make sure that you put as much positive time more positive time into what you're doing than what you spend focusing on the negative. I will see you. Man, I'd love to see you later tonight, but it's getting late, isn't it? Oh my gosh, it is. I will see you tomorrow. Now, I am going to go to kick.com/UNIRock and chill for a little bit. If you want to come over to Kick, talk to me, hang with me, or whatever. Again, kick.com/UNIRock. See you soon. Peace. I'm out. Sunshine, I love Brian Enton also. Beyond Biatch, I love seeing you. Thanks for being here. Jessica, missed you. Glad to see you. Right to you too, Ellen. Good to see you. People should get consequences. We are taught that as children. Very, very true, Ellen. Let's see. Who else am I missing? Dead GPK, R-Top, all y'all. Other Jess, see you guys soon, okay? You have a beautiful evening too. Thank you for being here.